chew the fat and give you our gut reactions on all things pop culture, film, TV and theatre. We talk the legends in the creative industry and those on the rise. We game old school. We do all of this, and a whole lot more. Like, subscribe, and get involved. Join Lance Dean, Anthony Nielsen, and the Outcast Creative.
Hello. This is a very, very, very impromptu stream because I've just come off open bar not that long ago. I wanted to do, we lost one of my favorite actors today, and I absolutely, I can't even put into words not only how long this guy's been around in my life, I mean, pretty much as long as I can remember, but he's had a huge influence on me, actually, which I'm going to demonstrate in just a second by showing you exactly how and when. But yeah, we're talking about the late great Donald Sutherland, of course, and he passed away today. Kiefer Sutherland announced his father had passed on his Twitter account, X, whatever. So I just want to first of all pass on my condolences to him. I don't know if this seems inappropriate somehow, but I mean, I guess you know, the best way to honor a man that's a legend of this level is really to talk about him and talk about the influence he had on you, and your career and your work and this kind of thing. And I absolutely have to do that. Absolutely have to take the time. I absolutely have to go to bed slightly later because I'm in the UK. It's already 1:45, and I'm running an acting workshop tomorrow. But I absolutely have to talk about this man. Hey, anybody who wants to come on, please do. Blue Collar, I've actually sent you the link in the group on Facebook. So do come on, man, because it'd be better if I wasn't on my Todd. I took 12 people to see Outbreak. I took a cast of mine to see Outbreak, which is interesting. But one of the things I want to show people is I want to talk about his scene, his sort of iconic scene, really, in the film JFK. And I have a scene that's inspired by that scene in my own movie. And I got my actors to watch it, and I said, "This is the scene. This is what I want. This is the, you know, you're talking about a kind of conspiracy in this you know, in the movie and in this sequence, and this is what I want you to do." And it was quite difficult to get the actors to do this scene because the scene is very long, just like the scene in JFK. It's actually the longest scene in my film. But before we get on to that, which is kind of it's not off topic, but I want to talk about the man himself first before I start blowing my own trumpet, which feels inappropriate. So let me get on that. Blue Collar, you can bring the journey up when you come in. It's on my channel. So I think I'm right. I'd seen Donald Sutherland before the first movie that really made me realize who he was. But I want to say that the first film, 200 acting credits, the film that introduced me to him as a kid was one of my all-time favorite war films, and that would have been Kelly's Heroes, hence my avatar right now. So we're going to go all the way back, but I'm just going to look at some of his earlier work as well. So he had roles in $1 Billion Brain and Dirty Dozen, both of which I had seen. He also even had a role in The Avengers, which I probably would have seen. Also in The Bedford Incident, there's a remake of that available now. But Kelly's Heroes was the first film that sort of put him in my head, playing the iconic role of Sergeant Oddballs. Gooch, come on, man. Adam Gray and Gooch, why don't you come on? I'll send you the link via your I'll send you the link via Twitter right now, in fact. Don't tell me you can't come on. You've got time to talk about this guy, for sure. So come on. It's not going to be a long stream. Just going to be on for a little bit. But yeah, Gooch, there you go. I've inboxed you. I don't know if Adam Gray's on my. I think Adam Gray's on my Twitter, right? I think so. Are you? If you are, send me a inbox message. No results from Adam Gray, or maybe you're not then. Okay. Well, Gooch has got the link, so he can always give it to you. Adam Gray, if you want to come on. So we're going to talk about Kelly's Heroes first. So anyone that hasn't seen it, the premise to this film is basically rob a bank with a tank. In fact, a friend of mine made a board game, rob a bank. Now, Body Snatchers was a later film that I saw him in. I'm going to talk about that as well. But I've always wanted this poster, by the way. So the first time I saw this was on television. And the first time you kind of meet Oddball, he's kind of sitting around. He's like this hippie, part of a tank unit. They're like part-time soldiers. It was absolutely comical. I would love to see this in the cinema in a 70mm print. I mean, God, wouldn't that be good? I wonder if I can convince the Prince Charles to do that. Maybe I can. He's got so many of the best lines, some of which are improvised. There's a few variation posters here, but let's try and get to some stills. Let's go back a bit. Here we go. There he is. So of the three leads, he's the only one left alive now. But yeah, I mean, I just loved his character in this is so good. And it's like, hey man, just sitting here catching some rays and eating some cheese, and you know, and then I love he's got his tanks have got like stereo speakers and all this. But so this is the film that brought him to my attention. Okay. Oh, and that's one of the epic shots that a lot of people miss, where it's got everything but the kitchen sink in it. There's so much you can say that's great about this movie. Yeah, where you from, son? Tox, come on if you want, mate. The link's in the Facebook group. Come on. So it's an iconic role. Okay, I got my first guest in the house. Good to have you, man.
Yeah, good to see you again.
How you doing?
I'm doing okay.
I had a horrible day, and then right when I'm in the middle of this ferocious argument with my ex, I'm catching out the corner of my eye Donald Sutherland's face on the TV screen in this bar that we're in, and I'm thinking, that's weird. They're showing like a clip of JFK. What's going on? I didn't actually pick up that he had passed until I got home, which is probably a good thing considering. But
it's funny you mentioned Kelly's Heroes, because I love that movie. He was so good in that movie.
It's such a good film, and
Mhm.
I mean, when you watch it now, it's a little bit overlong.
Mhm.
It's got some pacing issues, but hey, I'll take pacing issues over shit any day. And it was shot in 70 mm, and I was just saying how great it would be to sort out a special screening of it and see it on a big screen as it was intended, you know.
Mhm.
Because I've never seen it on a big screen. It's one of the few older favorite films of mine that I haven't managed to see on a big screen, because most of them I've kind of tracked down and gone to special screenings. But his character in this is the first character that I saw him play where I went, "Oh, who's this actor?" And I
Mhm.
guess I must have been about 8 years old. So I started understanding who actors and who stars were. And this is also the film that introduced me to Clint Eastwood. I can't remember if I saw this or Where Eagles Dare first, but I saw them pretty close together. I think they were both on TV within a year of each other. And but yeah, this is the film that introduced me to Donald Sutherland. So um, not his best role, perhaps, but not the role where you went, "Wow, this guy's a look at the range of this guy as an actor." But very early on in his career, but certainly a role that you remembered him no matter what. You were going to remember him after seeing him in this film. Oh, Carol O'Connor's cameo in this film is brilliant.
Was
Um,
that go back one? Go. Sorry.
that guy, that's Dee Pollock.
Yeah. Holy smokes! Look how young he looks
I
then.
think wasn't he still alive until pretty recently?
Yeah.
Yeah, he passed in 2005. Yeah, he was a famous child actor, this guy, if you remember him when he was a kid.
Mhm.
Yeah. He did a
Wow.
whole load of stuff like very early on. I think he was in stuff like Champion the Wonder Horse. And anyway, we're going off topic now. Let's keep this,
Sorry.
let's keep
Yeah.
this Sutherland
Well,
focused.
I just remember Sutherland. He was kind of that loose cannon in this movie. He was kind of like the the wild one in this one. I wouldn't maybe wild is a little too extreme, but he was kind of like that.
Yeah,
Uh, like, and it just seemed like after watching that movie, because this is what in the 60s. This is
yeah.
60, 68, 69,
It
somewhere
came
around
out
there.
in 68, but I think I
Yeah.
saw it on TV probably around 76, 77. I would have
Hmm.
seen it. Around the same time I was kind of growing up on a diet of James Bond films and
Yeah.
World War II movies. But I definitely saw this a couple of years before Bridge Too Far, before I got into like serious historical stuff, you know.
Well, it just seems like he always like since that role, have you seen that kind of character become a little more relevant in movies the way he did it in this movie?
Yeah.
That like in A Team, you had what's
Oh
his name?
yeah.
Yeah, you always had that one guy that was like a loose cannon, and it
Actually,
always stemmed from this. I always thought,
yeah, I can't think of a character earlier than this
yeah,
that Sutherland might have based this guy on. I'm sure there must have been people. There might have been somebody in maybe It's a Mad, Mad World, which I think was 62 or 64.
y-
Maybe there might
y-
have been a similar
yeah, but
character.
like
But he very much,
in a role where it's very everything's very militant, very strict, and very black and white. He was like he lived in the gray areas. Like he was just like if free. He lived free. Like he he didn't care. He knew his job. He knew his role, and he did it very well. But like he just had this nonchalant kind of attitude about everything in this role that you kind of attracted to, because it's out of the norm, and you've kind of seen that ever since. That's the way I kind of view it. But I could be wrong. There could be a character before that, but I don't remember one before that. So
no, I don't remember one before that. I think you're probably right there. I mean, it's funny, isn't it? Because you watch him in JFK, which even though it's a
mhm.
cameo role,
Yeah.
that's one of the best supporting actor cameo roles of all time in a film ever. And that scene is this iconic, amazing scene. And when I play a clip off of YouTube, it doesn't play the audio. But if you want to go onto my channel and grab the journey for me, Gooch my own film, which is on the Outcast channel. Just look under videos.
Mm-hmm.
I actually did this. I won't play it now. I'll play it in a little bit. I did a scene in that movie, and it's all based on the scene from JFK. We've got Enzo in the chat. Hey, man.
What's up, Enzo?
How do I sound?
Yeah, you sound all right. Where are you? You're not in your man cave.
Inside the house, for one. I just made a banh mi sandwich.
Oh, very good. Oh, that looks nice, man. Hang on. I want to. I want to see that. I want to see that sandwich again. Oh my god. Okay. Look at this. The appreciation for Sutherland is increasing.
Sorry, I was busy.
Yeah, that's good, man.
The shit ain't commando. Logs are heavy, okay? I'm not Arnold.
Oof. Okay.
Like 3 trees fall over.
I'll send you pictures.
Oh, that's no worries, man. You'd be welcome. Don't send me photos, please, of that sort of thing. Let's keep this Sutherland focused.
Yeah, we had some stormage all day yesterday and a little bit today, and I didn't have a tree fall over, but like this fence in my backyard is going to go any day now. Seriously.
It's funny you say that because I've literally just had trees cut down today to stop that same thing from happening.
I have to trim the front yard tree because like the tree limbs are starting to hang low enough to where the car is like touching it when I pull in the driveway. So I have to do that this weekend.
Well, we just talked about Kelly's Heroes, so I'm going to kind of work my way through Sutherland's hits, and as we get
Sutherland roll.
Well, I don't want to jump around on the timeline too much, but my favorite role is actually the role he did in JFK. It's just an incredible.
That's what I was about to say. I was going to say Mr. X and JFK, dude. It's like the best part.
I mean, I'm gonna show that scene in a sec, and I want to
go in a little bit. I thought I did.
But so after he did Kelly's Heroes, the next thing I probably saw him in would have been Don't Look Now. But I don't think I watched that film properly until later. As a kid, this film didn't have enough guns or spaceships in it. So it would have been a film of his I would have watched later properly as an adult, but I definitely saw it when I was younger as well. Great movie, another career high for sure. If you haven't seen it, of Sutherland's with Judy Christie, sort of awesome kind of suspense thriller. Day of the Locust is not a bad movie either. He's got a cameo in the Kentucky Fried Movie. I don't know if you guys remember that, where it literally just says starring Donald Sutherland as the clumsy waiter, and he just like falls forward into a cake. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Yeah,
that's literally his only scene.
Oh, shit.
He's great in The First Great Train Robbery with Sean Connery, but definitely one of his most other iconic roles of all time has got to be Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, everyone knows it, man. Yeah.
The big ending.
Yeah.
One of those things where like everyone's seen that meme and you might not even seen the movie, but you know that meme or that image.
Yeah, I mean it's and he had a cameo in Puppet Masters, or supporting role in Puppet Masters, and that was essentially Invasion of the Body Snatchers. But I mean, this is such a good. It's the definitive take on this story. It's way better than the black and white one. It's actually really creepy.
Jeff Goldblum, super young.
Yeah, there's I mean, it's actually got Leonard Nimoy in a non-Spock role, which is and he's good in it. You know, it's one of his good non-Spock roles. Brooke Adams, when she was really hot.
I'm shocked they haven't remade this again, Lance. I remember the one from the 90s. You know, from me growing up.
They remade it in the early 2000s with Nicole Kidman and Daniel Craig. The Invasion.
The Invasion, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, true.
I mean, it's due for another remake any day now, I'm sure.
I was just waiting to sit. They must have the still of Sutherland doing his scream. It's funny. The first time I watched this movie as a kid, I watched it late at night on the black and white upstairs, So when you're watching this sequence in black and white with the spores arriving and kind of spreading out on the leaves at the beginning, as a kid, it was much harder to understand what that was and what was going on. I really didn't fully appreciate it until I watched it later in color. It was actually a really good film on my black and white telly. Definitely, because it's got that old school lighting, it definitely worked really well. Hey, there you go, Blue. That was what you passed earlier, wasn't it? What those people are carrying in the image there.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. I take it everybody's seen this film.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing film. Let me know if you want to come on, Easy. I'm literally just inviting everybody today.
Yeah.
I got the clip freelance.
Well, why not?
There you go.
Yeah, I just got off the Drinkers 100 open bar.
Yeah, you were on there for like 2 hours or something, right?
I was scheduled to come on at 10 o'clock, and I was more than prepared to leave after an hour if they needed me to. But there were people that were needed to go sooner, and as I'd had the most horrendous evening ever, I was quite happy to stay. So,
do you remember him in excuse me, in Lockup?
Yes, I do.
He was such
Stallone.
Yeah, he was such an asshole in that movie.
I mean, he's a great
warden
villain in that film. It's just that clip, and yeah,
this lady alien, she plays people having nervous breakdowns, or she excels at that anyway.
So let's go back to we got to Body Snatchers. I'm gonna talk about a few other films of his that are really good. Another one that is not a bad little kind of conspiracy thriller movie is Bear Island, based on the book by Alec McLean, I think. The poster promises a lot more action than you get. Alistair McLean, yeah, the same guy that did Where Eagles Dare. It's not as good as Where Eagles Dare, but it's not a bad film. I mean, if you watch it now, you'll say it's amazing, because compared to the stuff we're getting these days, it's pretty good. But it's a thriller involving Nazi gold hidden on islands with former Nazi submarine bases and various people hunting things and killing people and that kind of stuff. It could have been better, but it's not a bad movie. One worth watching if you haven't seen. But it looks like the set from The Thing, doesn't it? That's a pretty creepy image with all these buried Germans. That's from the war. They're all buried there. Christopher Lee's in it as well. Let's get Mr. Sutherland back up again. So yeah, and then also so stuff that this is all stuff that I would watch because he was in it, basically. And we've got, so kind of coming into the 80s now. The big ones, I mean, Ordinary People didn't that clean up at the Oscars? Ordinary People.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Let me open another window so I can keep that one. And if I remember rightly, that's the one about there are two brothers. The younger brother is played by Timothy Hutton, and doesn't the older brother drowns in a boating accident, and the father can't kind of get to grips with the older son dying, and they don't really function very well as a family as a result, and it's all to do with kind of people dealing or not dealing with bereavement. That's probably a film I need to revisit. because the last time I saw it, I was extremely young, was not with adult eyes. I did quite enjoy it, though, even watching it when I was probably about 13, 14, something like that.
Yeah, Ordinary People had 4 Academy Awards.
Yeah.
And
did Sutherland get one?
It was Best Picture, Best Directing, Best Writing, and Best Actress Supporting with Timothy Hutton. No, he didn't. And then Golden Globes was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Golden Globes. Same thing. No Robert Redford, Timothy Hutton, and then nothing for Sutherland.
He had a role in. It was an epic failure, but it was supposed to be Al Pacino's comeback career, and that was a film called Revolution, and he played like the villain. He played like the evil British commander. You know, I'm gonna see if I can get a picture of that up right now. And it's actually, when you watch the film now, it's aged really well. My friend Dexter was in it, who was in Band of Brothers, and he was saying it was nuts. It was like Donald Sutherland, Al Pacino would buy him things like VCRs and TVs, and he'd just come back to his rented accommodation and find all this shit that Al Pacino bought for him, you know, in his hotel room, whatever. Because he didn't have a big enough TV, you know, he'd come back and find Pacino bought him a bigger telly. So Donald Sutherland plays a kind of classic British villain, the sort of role that Jason Isaacs would play later in his career. But he's pretty good in the movie. The movie's not bad. It's probably one I need to revisit. So it's a possible chew the fat one for later. Other things he did in the 80s that were worthy of notes. If anyone wants to chime in, please do. Lock Up, yeah, I'd go probably Lock Up and A Dry White Season, I would say, are the other two films in the 80s of his that are worth checking. He played a pretty good role in a film called The Rosemary Murders, but the film itself was pretty average. But Lock Up. That, you know what? That's a film I need to revisit.
Yeah, it's a good film.
I seem to recall Stallone's love interest. Is it Darlene? Yeah, Darlene Flugel, the girl from Battle Beyond the Stars. And she passed away now, man. And that was pretty recently that we lost her, I think. I was quite surprised because she was still pretty young. Yeah, Sutherland is definitely in top. This is kind of this is when he starts moving into his villain era. Oh, Enzo's dropped out, but he's here and he's back. There we go.
I accidentally pushed the back button when I was reading the chat. I'm a good stupid person.
That's all right. Sorry, I'm kind of
before
grabbing it here.
Yeah, before I leave the karaoke, I wanted to say he's really awesome as a villain in 2 movies from the 90s. First is one you've probably seen, Outbreak. He's great in Outbreak. And then the other one I don't think a lot of people have seen is the Hitman movie, Panic, starring William H. Macy, is like a hitman who works for his father, Donald Sutherland, and he suffers from like panic attacks and anxiety.
Yeah, I have seen that. I saw it a long time ago, but I know the film you mean.
It was a good indie movie that had some really, it was like, I like the way it was filmed, the way it looked, but also it was like during that craze of like The Sopranos and Analyze This. It's like a hitman going to be a therapist. And John Ritter is the therapist in one of his last roles. So check that one out. Good. Yeah, it's a good one. Panic. Nev Campbell, I think, is also the Betty in that one. And it's a little quaint little indie film, you know. Some good, it's not like action packed or nothing, you know. But that was Outbreak, dude. He's such a bastard in Outbreak.
I took a load of people to see Outbreak. I actually took a cast for a film I was directed, and we've got Darth. That's the still from Lock Up we've got up on the screen right now.
During the pandemic, like watched like Outbreak and Contagion and all the Andromeda Strain and all those.
It's so weird, isn't it? I watched all of the kind of like virus movies at that time as well.
Yeah. What else you got to do, right?
Yeah.
Watch Tiger King.
Yeah, I watched Tiger King.
All right, guys. Well, I'm going to go to karaoke, but I just wanted to drop in and say R.I.P. to a legend.
Yeah, indeed.
Take care, Enzo.
Someone hug Kiefer. Give him a
yeah.
All right, guys.
What a great dad to have, though.
Yeah, good job on Open Bar Day, Lance. You're killing it.
Oh, thanks, buddy. I felt like I didn't get to say much, but
dude.
I tried to jump in on the funnies, you know.
Of course. All right, guys. Well, I'll see you around soon.
All right, take care. Bye. Yeah, it was fun on Open Bar today.
Yeah, I'll catch replay. Lord Talks was saying, he goes, "Damn," he's like, "Lance is the best part of this stream so far." I'm like, I haven't listened to it because I always catch the replays, dude.
Well, I mean, you had a lot of big characters on there, so you know, who like to talk. I mean, they are people that do give way. They do let other people talk. There are some people that will talk for like 30 minutes straight, and
yeah,
do you know what I mean? It's like sucking all the air out of the room, and they weren't those kinds of people. But you know, when there's that many people on a stream, it's difficult to know when to. You can't wait to sort of for a gap, because there never is one. You have to kind of jump in. You just have to wait for that beat where one person is finishing a sentence before someone else starts without sounding rude. It's quite difficult. But anyway, let's so to continue, oh god, we might have to do the films of Donald Sutherland you haven't seen stream. I did really enjoy Virus. That was the one with Jamie Lee Curtis on the boat.
Back in the 90s.
Hang on, we've jumped ahead a bit. Let me go back. So we kind of did the 80s. So on the 90s, he did a fair few that kind of were quite sort of straight to video-ish, or had that HBO movie kind of TV movie thing like Citizen X. Puppet Masters was straight to video in the UK. I actually really like that film, and I know the owner of the book really hated it, but I liked it, and I watched it again recently. And then I guess the next big budget thing he did was Outbreak, which he was very good in.
Yeah, he played one hell of a bad guy in Outbreak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when he says, "Billy, why did you give him that order? You know that would mean you bastard." With the whole thing with the that must have been a challenge, because on Outbreak you had Dustin Hoffman, who is known to be quite difficult, Cuba Gooding Jr., who is certified absolutely batshit crazy, and
Kevin Spacey, too.
And then Donald Sutherland, who's
Kevin Spacey.
pretty decent. Kevin Spacey, who has a massive ego on set, so that must have been a tricky set. I don't know what Rene Russo's like to work with, but she seems lovely.
Mm-hmm.
I would work with Rene Russo.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, we're talking about Donald Sutherland. Yeah, he is a really good in this. He's the man you want locking down your virus town. Let's face it. You don't want Dustin Hoffman locking down your virus town. You want Donald Sutherland. Donald Sutherland ain't going to hesitate to shoot those guys who are running cross country and carrying the virus with them. Another iconic role. I saw that at the cinema. Did anyone else see it at the cinema on release?
Yeah, I saw that in the theater as well.
Yeah, it was a good one. Let's see what are the other the hits from the 90s.
Well, there was Fallen, which was good with Denzel Washington.
Denzel, one of my favorite films.
That's the one that's kind of like a sort of parallel of the AIDS virus, isn't it?
No, it's more like Denzel and John Goodman. Denzel's hunting a demon.
Yeah,
but doesn't the demon pass from one person to another?
Yes.
Well, yeah. I mean,
a lot of people sort of at the time said it was an analogy for AIDS or something. I vaguely remember.
Oh, I never heard that.
Well,
yeah, I've never heard that.
In the British press, they jumped all over that shit and said, "Well, I remember it was a big debate over here. Like, oh yeah, that's what it's supposed to be, you know." I've only seen that film once, a long time ago.
Well, the big twist ending. Remember the twist ending was a fucker hopped into a cat at the end. Like, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Was that cat called Nicodemus?
I forgot the name of the cat.
Yeah. Good film. Only seen it the once. Hey Danny, yeah, sad day, man. And God, ain't that the truth?
Yeah, I'd say for me, Lance, definitely the '90s because I was a '80s baby, but '90s where I started knowing about this actor because that was my formative years. So Backdraft and then on's where I got really into down Sutherland.
Yeah. Yeah, or so Fallen. Fallen was a good one.
I love doing Buffy.
See, I never watched Buffy. I saw the Buffy movie.
Yeah,
And
Buffy
I've
movie.
seen maybe 6 episodes of the TV show. I can't remember the
That's
Buffy.
why he punched her. She's like, "Wow." He's like, "That's your first time, really? You did excellently." I never broke any brick and nail. She decks him in the face.
So of his other hits in the 90s, I saw Virus. I saw The Hunley, which is the TV movie about them making the first submarine. I didn't see Panic, which is the one that Stepenzo recommended, but I feel like I want to see that now. And then he did a couple of movies in the 2000, the year 2000, which
I liked him in Disclosure went after
that's a great.
But
he's
the
great.
elevator scene, he goes to kiss Michael Douglas. Michael Douglas is freaking out.
That's kind of like a sort of dream sequence, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. After Demi just got done,
Blue, can you grab my film The Journey up?
Sure.
I want to.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it, and I can't.
Just go if you go on my channel. Well, Blue knows where it is. You go on my channel and just look under videos.
Oh, there it is. Okay, now I see it.
There. Yeah, I'd quite like to see. I quite like the idea of William H. Macy being the son of Donald Sutherland. Isn't it funny? Like, this is the year 2000, and I mean, I don't know if they've aged him up, but he looks up. This is the year 2000, so considering he lived another 24 years, he did pretty well. I think he was 88 when he passed. I think I read.
See, I was introduced to him as a very young because he's Canadian,
right?
And because we were like talking about Canadian actors at the time when we were kids, very young kids, and his name was like one of the first that came up.
But when I first saw Kiefer in, he had a really small role in At Close Range, which is a great movie. I'll give you a time code, Enzo, for the scene in question.
How dare you?
I want to get.
You mean Blue?
You said that name.
Sorry, Blue. Yeah, you look so similar. It's.
Oh yeah. He's my clone.
I think the scene is probably about 70 minutes in, or 60 to 70 minutes in, something like that.
Okay. You said for the journey, right?
Yeah, and I'll do a little comparison with that, and you were probably nearly there actually, because if that scene is largely in black and white, so it's yeah. Hang on, I'll give you a time. Let me give you a time code for it. Be easier because I know the film really well. So, so it is. Yeah, here we go. So the film is. So this scene begins around 1 hour, 17 minutes and a half. Just after that. So. And it's too good. Yeah, when they leave that bar. So actually, if I put that up for a second, when these characters leave that bar, they go for a walk, and we can play this with sound because unfortunately I own the copyright. It's my film. So YouTube, I hope you're listening. Right, so I'm going to just pause it there. But this is the scene. But what I want to do is we'll talk about JFK before we come back to that. I don't want to prattle on about my movie too much. This is Sutherland's time, so to speak. But yeah, Anything else? Yeah, around. What did people think of Space Cowboys? That was a film that I thought was going to be better than it was.
It was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of just okay, wasn't it? I mean, I think the thing that made the film good was really the fact that it reunited Sutherland and Clint Eastwood. Now, had they been in a film together since Kelly's Heroes? I don't think they had they?
Well, that had it had oh yeah, there's the crew there.
What did they do? What did they do together apart from Kelly's Heroes and this?
I would say probably nothing.
Yeah, so this is the first time they were reunited.
Because he was doing a couple more westerns, or Clint was, and then he did.
I mean, that was what made this film appealing to me, because I remember thinking, oh shit, haven't seen these guys together in forever, i.e. But we definitely need to do a little we need to do a chew the fat on the best Donald Sutherland movies you've never watched, of which this is not one of them. I think I need to add. There's a film. I've just realized there's a film I missed. So we're going to go back to the future. Going to go back to the 70s for a second. This is a superb film, which if you haven't seen it, you absolutely should. And hey, David Mucky, I don't know if I've seen you in the chat before, but welcome. The Eagle Has Landed. He plays a double agent working for the Nazis. It's not really a big twist to tell you that, because it's revealed fairly early on in the film. It's a great film with Michael Caine. It's a funny one because you're kind of rooting for the bad guys. I've also been to the location where this was shot, and it was recently used for Band of Brothers. Masters of the Air. They filmed there. Yeah, Space Cowboys listen, man. Space Cowboys is a perfectly fun way to spend a couple of hours. It's not a terrible movie.
Yeah, it's kind of a nostalgia one. I wasn't a big fan of it, but
no, it's fine, but it's not like, see if we can get a Sutherland gets to wear like a hat and look very sort of Irish old world in this film. There he is. His character's very cool. He does an Irish accent. He gets to kiss Jenny Agutter. I mean, what's a guy got to do? So it's kind of cool. Yeah. So let's go back to his other films before we get to. So JFK was in the 90s, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So
that would have been 90.
Let's talk about that, and then we can.
97, 98, 96.
I think it was 97, or was it 92?
I was actually 91.
Yeah, I was
it 91?
Yeah, it was early 90s. Because I'm thinking about where I
old?
lived. I remember exactly where I lived when I saw it, and we actually went to see it at my old cinema, and then I went back to see it in town on a proper screen. 91 is, yeah, that's right. I mean, whatever your view on politics, this is one of my favorite films of all time. I love the idea that we don't really know what happened. We're just presented with a lot of scenarios, and then it's really Oliver Stone is saying, go and do your own research and make up your own mind. But the best scene in the movie absolutely is this scene. And one of the things I really loved about this scene was it sort of took you in 15 minutes. It took you through the whole narrative of American politics that sort of led up to the assassination of JFK. I'm just going to get this scene up, Cosland and Sutherland. Now, the audio won't work on my. If I share this, but if I send this link to you, Gooch, you can put this up. So,
I do have to leave right away, so I don't.
do you?
Yeah, I got to get ready to. I got my stream I got to do right away. But
What stream are you doing?
I'm doing. We're doing the Demon Slayer episode 3. Blue Collar will be there as well.
Oh, will he?
Yeah.
Not till he's done here. He won't. You might have to start late. So, because I need to have a chat with him after this.
We got some time.
So, anyway, this is the scene I'm talking about, right? So, I need you to stay for Gooch for this. And they're talking about the impact that these things have on American politics. Now, this scene in my film is talking. If you press play for a second, Chris, is this guy is talking about when Greece fell apart, and if you know your politics, well, European politics, which you guys probably don't, what happened was this middle-class boy who came from a very well-to-do family was hanging out with some friends in an area called Zathia, which is in Athens. And what happened, you keep playing it, it's all right, we don't need to hear the dialogue. And because it's the visuals I really want you guys to look at. And what happened was there were these 2 off-duty police, and they sort of got into an altercation with this group of boys. And one of them decided to pull out a pistol, and he fired it, and this kid got killed, right? And right, so this is a flashback. This is the kid. This is the policeman. And he's talking about what happened to this English tourist who, of course, knows nothing about Greek politics, doesn't know anything about it. And he's saying, well, this was the... Now, this shot here, see the body on the ground. We went to the actual location where this kid was shot, and we put him on the... We put the actor on the thing. Do you want to turn the sound up for a sec? And
never been in trouble.
Listen to the music as well.
Shot. Why?
We scored it, so it's got that same
They were having a bad day, apparently.
moody score, like in JFK. And then
they were ordered to go back to the station.
That area now is like a no-go area for the police. Now, these 2 boys that are playing his friends, get this, these 2 kids were the real 2 kids that were the first 2 kids to get to this kid's body when he was shot. So when we went back to this location and we filmed this sequence with the kid getting shot, that was actually where he got shot. That place with the body on the ground is the exact place where the kid was shot. And we had to have those 2 kids with us to stop us being lynched while we were filming, so that the local gangs knew that we were doing something that was telling the truth about what happened and not anything else. These are that's the real footage of the riots that took place that spread all over the country afterwards. So this is my whole nod to this whole scene in JFK. So you see how it's quite similar, right?
Let me tell you something, my friend.
And this is totally influenced by Oliver Stone and totally influenced by Kevin Costner and Donald Sutherland, although with the best will in the world, my actors, talented though they are, would admit that they were not quite in the same caliber as them. But Dimitri on the left, who's playing Nondas, who's talking about it, he really did work hard. He really rehearsed this scene a lot, and he practiced it and practiced it and practiced it, because Dickon is basically just reacting to the story. He doesn't know anything about it, whereas this guy is really pouring his heart out, and he's like super passionate about it, and telling the story of how his whole country fell apart.
Yeah.
So there you go. So just goes to show the influence that someone like Mr. Sutherland even had in shaping my own work, man. I know you've got to head off for your stream fairly shortly. Do you guys want to say anything final about the late great man?
Blue, do you want to go first, or?
Also, I knew you have to have it earlier because I get some more time to kill, because yours is you have to do your prep and everything. So I'll be there. Yeah, he's going early than me because he's hosting it. So
yeah,
Luke, go for it, man. I'll only keep.
Well, I just want to say, like, he was
Telegrams.
one of the classiest gentlemen out there. You never heard anything really negative about Donald Sutherland that I can remember. So I mean, unless you guys have something, but like I thought he was one of the classiest, most underrated actors out there. And he was a phenomenal actor. He's going to be missed.
Yeah, I never heard on the industry grapevine. I never heard any
No.
talk. When I was looking at people I wanted to work with, because by the time I became a director, he already seemed very old. He wasn't on my list that was pinned to my wall. You know, I had a list pinned to my wall of actors I wanted to work with. Kevin Bacon was number one. And but I put people on the list that I reasonably probably could expect to work with within my lifetime. And you know, there were people like Richard Widmark who was still alive when I made that list. They were still alive, but they were in their 80s or whatever. So I kind of was putting people that were. I think the oldest person that was on that list was Tim Thomerson, and you know, he's in his 80s now. But if I ever thought I could have worked with Donald Sutherland, God, I would have loved to. And the apple hasn't fallen far from the tree, because Kiefer's a pretty damn good actor.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You know.
So, yeah. May he rest in peace for sure.
Phenomenal. Thanks for coming on, man.
No, anytime. You know, I'd come on if I had the time. So I had the time, and I appreciate you inviting me, brother. And always. You'll be coming on my channel again soon, I'm sure. So
yeah. Absolutely. I've got another book coming out soon, so you'll have to have me back on.
All right. Yeah, take care. I'll see you guys later. Have a great stream.
I'm not going to wrap this up just yet. I said I'd stay on until 2 my time. It's about another 20 minutes. So
you know, it's the duties of a host. He's got to get his hosting stuff ready.
Sure. Yeah. But yeah, so I've done my bit about the journey. So let's Darth Plato got what I was getting at in terms of how that scene shaped my. So more recently, he's done a few cracking parts. I mean, of course, his character portrayal as President Snow in Hunger Games, iconic, I would say.
Another just great villain. I mean, he can play a good bad guy.
Oh yeah, but I mean, another really good role that he played, where he played a good guy, that is still a film that not a lot of people have seen. Most people, if they have seen it, probably saw it when it debuted as over 2 nights, I think, in 2001, and that was Uprising. And that's the true story of the ghetto uprising. I've actually got the DVD of this. I need to get an all-region player, because half my things are from America and I can't play them.
I remember this film, looking at the cast, man. This is one hell of a cast.
It's a great movie. Again,
I'll watch it.
Outside of Band of Brothers, it's probably David Schwimmer's finest hour. Hank Azaria's great.
It's on the list. Yeah.
This sequence is amazing, where the Germans all get ambushed. I mean, it's the first time that the Jews really fought back with proper armed resistance. One of my friends was in it. An actor that I directed around 2004. He had just done it. Incidentally, Carrie Yules is amazing in this movie. But Donald Sutherland plays the head of the Jewish council in the film. And of course, that council was that's Luke Mabley, who I directed in a movie.
Wow.
He plays one of the main Jewish resistance guys. Yes, this is the Warsaw Ghetto movie, and Sutherland is amazing in it. There's a really funny scene. I mean, it's a tragic scene, but it's when Sutherland is forced to make this kind of propaganda movie for the Germans, and at one point Fetz Kipler, who's played by Carrie Yules, says, "Surely you would have a candelabra on your desk." Yes, let's get a candelabra. And he's trying to sort of film this Jewish propaganda, and he's saying, "Yes, move your hands in big circles." And Sutherland starts sort of copying what is going on, and his kind of cleric is kind of going, "Are you aware, Rabbi, there is a large candelabra on your desk?" "Yes, I am very aware. You can be assured that I'm aware of all this transcribing." It's a really good scene. No worries, Sean. Thanks for popping in. Yeah, it's another great performance from Sutherland that if you haven't seen, you should. Absolutely. There is a DVD of that movie. It's worth getting. It's not available on Blu-ray as far as I know.
I'm sure I can find it.
Do you know, it's funny, until recently I did not know that there was a Backdraft 2 sequel to Backdraft.
I'm reading that now. I never heard of it. Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, and Sutherland's in it.
Yeah,
so,
and also,
and he was in the original.
Baldwin too.
Yeah, he was in the original.
Yeah,
and it's kind of weird how
it came out in 2019. I'm like, when did this come out? I
mean, I'm sure it was probably one for the paycheck. Well, William Baldwin was in it because Billy Baldwin was in it originally, wasn't he? Wasn't he in the original? I seem to recall he was.
Yeah, and it says they both play the same characters.
Right.
So okay, I mean,
so potentially it could have been good, but I guess it just wasn't. Oh man, look at him there. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, is this worth?
Yeah, it says it's one of them It's one of the straight to DVD movies. That's why.
What's the rating on it? 4.9. Let's have a quick look at some of the reviews. Don't burn this film just yet. It's funny actually because when Backdraft came out in 1991, it was kind of like there was huge fanfare because it was the first like big film with dealing with tons of fire since like Towering Inferno, from what I remember. But when you watch it now, it's just not a very good movie.
Really? I haven't watched it since I was like 15. So
yeah, it bores you to a crisp. That's not a very. I mean, the reviews are pretty mixed for it, but
yeah, Rotten Tomatoes is like 16% from audiences.
They shot it in Canada, so it's another one of those ones where they shot it in Canada, and Joe Anderson is the son of Kurt Russell's character. Okay, I see. So, great movie if you have an IQ above 100. All right. Okay. So interesting.
He wasn't in it long, but I liked him in the Italian Job with Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, I didn't like that movie though.
Yeah, see, that's the one I knew. I didn't know about the original one, so that one I wound up liking, but I can't compare it to the original, so I don't know if it's.
Have you not seen the original?
It's been a long time.
Oh, dude, you need to watch that. Like,
it's too many movies.
That's an amazing film.
I saw the cast. We had Mark Wahlberg, Charlize Theron, Jason Statham, Edward Norton, Don Sutherland. They're just pumping out actors, man.
Yeah, let's. I'm glad Enzo reminded me of Disclosure, because actually when that film comes on, that's one of those films when it comes on, I go, oh yeah, I quite fancy watching this.
Yeah, no, because recently I pulled it up for part of my my intro, and I had to pull up the scene with Demi, and I was going through the film. I was like, yeah, one of the best scenes was like said when Michael Douglas has his PTSD moment.
Yeah, I mean it's funny, because do you know what I was thinking? When did this movie come out? And I was thinking early 2000s, right? But it wasn't. It was 1994 it came out. Just trying to get a good still of Sutherland in it, but it's mainly just of the... I mean, it's a really good movie about the issue of consent.
Oh, definitely. I mean, that's a film that I would not want made today. Because, boy, could you imagine?
Well, it wouldn't get made today. I actually, I went to the Backdraft attraction. I've got some photos of that attraction. I don't think it's there anymore though. I think it's gone now. Yeah, Sutherland was great in this. I mean, it's funny because he looked the same age for about 30 years. He just sort of had this kind of sharp, kind of grey haircut. He looked the same for like a really long time. Yeah, I'm hoping to do that myself. I'm hoping to kind of rock the current Lance image for the
whenever you have like what's like Steve Martin had gray hair in like his 20s. So
Yeah, that kind of became his sort of trademark. All right, let's look at some of his recent stuff before we wrap up. So kind of since 2010, we've got the Hunger Games with him playing President Snow. I mean, he would just knock that role out of the park.
He was in Horrible Bosses. It's been a while. I did like that, the first one.
Crossing Lines. Now, he played Michael Dawn, 34 episodes. Am I familiar with this show? A special crime unit investigates serialized crimes that cross over European borders. Do you know what? I don't think I've seen this, and this sounds like quite a good show. And he's presumably plays a significant role in it.
Yeah, William Fichtner's a great actor too.
Yeah. I do like the Fichter. He's the lead. Tom, yeah, I know Tom. Lara Rossi is actually a friend of mine. Shit, I must have seen some of these. Crossing Lines 2. So maybe he's, because I don't think he's listed in in all the episodes. Because if we go back to his, he's in 34 episodes. But I don't know how many episodes there were during that time.
So, that's a lot of episodes, though.
Yeah, that might be worth going back and checking out. It's in this TV series called Ice. I think I saw that. That was about like diamond smuggling. I saw that. That was okay. Yeah. It wasn't like amazing. He was good in Trust. This was good. Yeah, it's to do with the of course this was remade into that movie, about the kidnapping of John Paul Getty III. But this is an earlier version of that. Because remember, it was also made by Ridley Scott, and it was originally with Kevin Spacey, and they had to reshoot it all.
Okay.
But there's also another version of the same story with Donald Sutherland. So it's quite a good movie. I've seen it. It's quite good.
Right. He was in The Mechanic with Jason Statham, which I like that movie.
Which one?
The Mechanic.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember that. Remember him in Ad Astra?
Yes, I did not like that film, but his performance was good. And even like Brad Pitt wasn't even bad. It's like it's an okay movie. I just wasn't feeling it. I don't know.
He was also in Moonfall, which let's just not go there.
Moonfall, but the third act, Lance, if you did a lot of drugs.
Well, I don't, unfortunately. So I'm probably not. It's not going to appeal to me.
The writers must have did a lot of drugs for that third act for Moonfall, because whoa.
Now, I remember wanting to watch this, and I feel like I watched some of it, and I feel like I don't know if I saw all of it. 6-part series with Hugh Grant getting accused of murder, The Undoing, and Donald Sutherland either plays the father-in-law or someone like that. I think that's another one of his worth watching.
Apparently, Henry Kiefer did a 2015 Western, which I never heard of.
Which one?
It's called Forsaken.
Oh, I've seen it. I've seen it.
Okay.
I've seen it. The Forsaken. Yeah, it's low budget Western.
Okay, gotcha.
Do you say it's about 2014, right?
Yeah, it's right there between after Hunger Games 1 and 2. It's right there, Forsaken. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely saw this. I watched it because the two Sutherlands were in it. It's all right. I think it's mainly good because they're in it. I can't remember which Western town they filmed in. Oh, that's right. Brian Cox is in it, and Brian Cox is really good in it. He's like one of the villains.
I mean, it's
Michael Winnicott's one of the villains. Yeah, it's pretty decent.
That's why I'm watching now, because Brian Cox is in it.
Yeah, and I think John Avnet directed it, if I remember rightly. Oh no, John Cassar. Oh. Wonder if he's the son of Mario Cassar.
And they play father and son too. Cool.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Let's have a look. Yeah, I see his son's actually in the film from Malta. I wonder if it was shot in Malta. He's a producer on the Orville as well, this guy. So he'd be a great guest to get on, wouldn't he? What a fantastic guest. Love to get Kiefer Sutherland on. Yeah, I did see that on his list. Pillars of the Earth is a good sort of, it's based on a book, very well-known book. And yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. Oh my God, why am I getting everybody's face up except for Mr. Sutherland's? Is there anything else you want to give a shout out to before we wrap up?
I mean, he said some voice work here, nothing major. The was it Astro Boy cartoon for kids, the Final Fantasy CGI cartoon back in 2001, and it's all really voice acting. We see him doing a couple roles here, nothing major.
Well, his final role was in Lawman Bass Reeves, which is the true story of one of the first black deputy sheriffs. I actually really enjoyed this show. I thought it was really good.
It's on my to-do list. I know.
I get why in America with American audiences, it may not appeal to some because of the unfortunate racial divide that you guys face right now.
Well, it's funny because I just sent Drinker a super chat about Mary Kingstown, and the panel was saying, "Hey, Taylor Sheridan did Bass Reeves. He did Tulsa Kings." Who said, Taylor Sheridan knows how to direct.
Anything that's got Taylor Sheridan's name on it is never going to be below a standard of kind of 6 out of 10. There's Sutherland doing a scene. So this was actually Sutherland's last acting credit, which is why I'm trying to see if there's any more stills of him. I'm guessing those interiors with Sutherland must have been shot at a studio, probably for convenience and whatnot.
Still, mean the fact that he was still going in 2024 says a lot, man.
Yeah. Well, acting right up until the end, I think it's the best way because when you stop, that's when you conk out.
I think Clint Eastwood's he's gonna pass away, like holding the camera, directing something.
Listen, and I'm all for that. I'm absolutely all for that. If that's the way he wants to go out, then he should. Let's get the man back up. Yeah, so all right. Well, Donald Sutherland, who passed away today officially. I think if I picked my favorite performance of his, without hands down, is the one in JFK. Favorite film where he's a lead is probably a toss-up between Invasion of the Body Snatchers and Kelly's Heroes. So 2 of his older films. Yeah, I guess once he gets in that, he's kind of like a co-star, isn't he? So he's a co-lead in Kelly's Heroes. But he's the lead in Body Snatchers. Those 3 are probably my 3 favorites of his. But I mean, I could pick 20, 30 things from his resume that are all films I'd be happy to watch again and again. And then probably another 30. He's probably got quite a few that I haven't seen. Probably quite a few that I haven't seen that and some of which actually look pretty good. So
it's definitely one of those, there's no wrong answers with this guy.
No, indeed. All right. Well, look, it's an unplanned stream. Hadn't planned to stream after. I've got an acting workshop I've got to run tomorrow, so I will be getting off to bed shortly. You got anything you wanna plug, buddy?
No, I'll hang out with Gooch in about half hour, and then tomorrow I'm gonna go see the Bike Riders with Lord Toxic, and because I wanted to go today, but he didn't have a showing today, so it was like we kind of planned together. So tomorrow we're doing the Bike Riders.
Right. By the way, I went on. I went to the cinema today, and I saw
Inside Out too.
I saw Inside Out too. Yeah, I did, and
I want to hear about it later.
I'll tell you about it when I get off the stream. I liked it. I thought it was good, and I just unfortunately made a regrettable decision about who I went with. Anyway, we'll get into that. Yeah, all right. Well, look, thanks for people tuning in. This is a bit unscheduled. It's been a bit wonky because I'm feeling a bit discombobulated about the whole thing. But it's one of my favorite actors of all time. Always been around throughout my whole life. So it's like, you know, it's like another equivalent of Gene Wilder kind of thing. Just had to say something about this incredibly talented man and legend of the silver screen and television. He's of that generation. There's not many of them left. Who have you got left of his generation? Clint Eastwood. And who else from that generation?
Tommy Lee Jones.
Well, who?
Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah, okay, Tommy Lee Jones. Yeah, he was probably slightly younger than the two of them, but yeah, he's up there. Tommy Lee Jones. Yeah, there's probably not many. There's probably a few character actors around.
Tommy Lee, I've always only seen him as being an old man. I swear, my entire life, Tommy Lee Jones was like born old.
Yeah, well, yeah. Dark Moon Rising. Yeah, no worries, guys. Thanks. I'll always do these kinds of things for any actors in my top 200 will probably get one of these. So I might be a busy man over the next few years with these, but because everyone's getting on a bit now. Redford, yeah, I'd say Redford's of his generation for sure. He's up there. Yeah, he's still going, just about. All right, so thanks everyone. Thanks for tuning in. If there was any new subscribers that I gained today, thanks very much for subscribing to my channel. Do check out the industry interviews on the playlist. You'll probably find them quite interesting. We're going to be back on Saturday. Oh, I had just quickly, actually, before we wrap up, an actor got in touch with me today, an actor that I'm a big fan of, who, when he first messaged me, I was a little bit off with him because I thought I've had several fake people get in touch with me over
It's
the last
the internet. Yep, man.
Yeah, they know I interview actors, so they're reaching out to me from, you know, fake accounts, trying to pretend that they're whoever they are. And I was a little bit off with this guy because I didn't think it was him. I'll be honest. I thought it was a fake account. Anyway, it's but once I got talking with him, I thought, shit, I think this is the real guy. So I mean, until I see him on screen, you never know for sure, of course. But his name's Yosei Zuniga, and he was in the original Alive movie, and you know that I did a big in-depth thing about that. But he's been in absolutely loads of stuff. He's got 146 acting credits on IMDb. He's played everything from kind of border agents to police to gang members, gangsters. A really, really impressive resume. There is in Snowfall, and I just really rate him as an actor. I think he's a really good actor. I think it's him. I'm about 90% certain it's him. But you know, until I see him on camera, you never know. But he's reached out to me, and I said, well, do you want to come and do a podcast? And he said, yeah, straight away. So, you know, so
Hopefully.
I think it might happen.
Oh yeah, I reckon him. Yeah, this one guy's where I've seen him everywhere. I just didn't know what his name is.
Yeah, so you know his name now. So Yosei, and I'm not sure the pronunciation, but I think it's Zuniga. I think
He's been in a lot of movies.
He's a fantastic actor. So if we get him on the channel, that'd be great. That'd be great. So like I said, he's reached out to me because he said he watched the breakdown I did of Alive, which of course is I think that film was his first big acting break. And all right, okay, so that's it from us, guys. We will catch you again Sunday, Band of Brothers stream. I probably won't be on before then, so it'll be Sunday, 8 o'clock, Band of Brothers stream. Blue will be back on with me. We'll be back on with the Inside Man, History Bro.
Yeah.
We may or may not have Critical Drinker with us. We'll see. But either way, it's going to be a fun stream. All right.